Today on NewsWatch, cities around the world get ready to celebrate the new year as security officials are on high alert, watching for terror attacks. Plus, the Islamic State's plan to defeat Christianity. We'll show you how their road of conquest leads straight to Rome. And is Will Smith eyeing a run for the White House? Hear why the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air says it's time to answer a call higher than acting. And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. The countdown to the new year is on, but security is being tightened at home and abroad with new terror threats overseas. And those threats have moved some leaders to change plans in some cities in Europe or cancel them altogether. Here in Paris, the New Year's Eve street party will go on as planned, but the fireworks display has been canceled. Leaders say there is a need for an even greater vigilance in the wake of the terror attacks, which killed 130 people just a month ago.
I was in Paris the week after it happened, and the thing is, you can't let people like that dictate, your lifestyle and your choices.
In Brussels, the mayor has also chosen to call off the fireworks. Brussels authorities also arrested 2 men this week in connection with a suspected holiday plot. Here at home in the U.S.,
we are not aware of any threat at this time that we deem credible.
The recent threats overseas will not stop massive New Year's Eve celebrations. An estimated 1 million people will pack into about 20 city blocks in and around New York City's Times Square for the annual ball drop. The city's police department is deploying 6,000 heavily armed officers there. That's more than ever before.
There's only so much they can do. It's a lot of people.
I'm kind of to the point where I really don't feel safe anywhere.
New York City's mayor is also touting another not-so-secret weapon. The city has a new task force made up of about 500 officers working full-time on counterterrorism. In Pasadena, California, police are prepping for the Rose Bowl parade. Federal officials designated the celebration as a top-tier security event, even before the San Bernardino attack. More than 24 federal agencies are joining forces with local police to protect the 700,000 people expected to attend. And here on the Las Vegas Strip, security is also on high alert, with more than 300,000 people expected to fill the city streets. Deadly storms in the Midwest are forcing people in Missouri to leave their homes and head to higher ground. Flooded rivers have swallowed entire neighborhoods, shutting down highways and roadways throughout the state. First responders say they've moved from one dramatic rescue to another. Today, authorities in the suburbs of St. Louis ordered mandatory evacuations, and a state of emergency has been declared.
A flood in the winter is very dangerous. It's really cold out there. Everybody keep a good attitude because it's going to be a while.
It's pretty unreal. This is supposed to be 2 major highways.
The rivers in Missouri are expected to reach heights not seen since the massive floods back in 1993. People in Texas are picking up the pieces after that monstrous tornado ripped through neighborhoods in Rowlett and Garland, and they're getting help from CBN's Operation Blessing. Operation Blessing is working with local government officials to receive and train volunteers. So far, sending more than 160 workers into neighborhoods to assess needs and begin removing debris. They're also giving emotional support to the victims.
I feel like I'm doing something, and so it may, in my mind may be small, but I know that eventually, these people need all the help they can get, so any little bit helps.
There's a woman around the corner, I cannot remember her name, but she was so thrilled that we were there and heartbroken, and she cried, and we just held her and just listened to her story, just to be there emotionally and to fulfill something to bring them back to normalcy, just to help them in some way we can.
And to learn how you can help Operation Blessing assist the victims in Dallas, simply go to its website, ob.org. A federal appeals court has stopped, for now, Utah's move to cut off money to the Planned Parenthood chapter in the state. The decision allows federal taxpayer money to temporarily keep flowing to the Planned Parenthood Association of Utah. Utah's Republican Governor Gary Herbert wants to end $275,000 in contracts with Planned Parenthood for sex education and testing for sexually transmitted diseases. Utah is one of a number of states that have moved to cut funding to Planned Parenthood. You know, many times you don't get a second chance in life, but thanks to a discovery by a doctor in North Carolina, more than 80 women who had taken an abortion pill are getting just that. The discovery gave them a second chance after they realized they wanted to keep their unborn babies after all. Heather Sells brings us this story.
Little Gabriel is alive and well thanks to his mother's instincts and a medical breakthrough that can shut down an abortion. Andrea Minikini was studying nursing when she got the news she was pregnant. Reluctantly, she and her boyfriend decided to abort their baby.
Andrea was unsettled when she came to this clinic to get an abortion, but immediately after she swallowed the pill, she regretted what she had done.
I ran out and actually started trying to throw up, but nothing would come out, nothing.
On a mission to save her baby, Andrea called several obstetricians and even went to her local emergency room. Doctors repeatedly told her there was no way out and that she would need to take the second abortion pill within 24 hours. After 2 sleepless nights, Andrea's mom discovered the abortion reversal hotline and a local doctor who said she might be able to help. The doctor found the baby's heartbeat and a break in Andrea's placenta.
The baby had almost, instead of going towards it, he had gone away from it and he had curled up in a little ball.
The doctor immediately began the reversal process. It involves flooding a woman's body with progesterone, the pregnancy hormone. It blocks the deadly effects of mifepristone, found in the abortion pill RU486.
These are hormones that essentially the woman's body has in it anyway, and we're just supplementing that.
Dr. Matt Harrison created the protocol 9 years ago when a patient came to him soon after taking the first dosage of RU486.
And she said, I will do whatever it takes to save my baby. And that was just such a powerful message coming from her, someone who had just taken a medication to end their baby's life, realized immediately that she had done something that she didn't want to do. And I was like, you know what? I have no idea what to do. This is not something that they teach you in medical school. They don't give you an antidote to abortions.
Harrison's discovery takes advantage of a 2-day gap between the taking of the first and second abortion pills. The reversal must begin within 3 days of taking the first pill and before taking the second. So far, it has helped 87 mothers deliver healthy babies and another 74 who are expecting. But not everyone succeeds. About 40% have failed in their hope of reversing their abortion. Dr. Lewis Lipscomb has tried 4 times and says it can be tense.
It's a bit nerve-wracking because we're all on pins and needles just hoping that the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to go smoothly for her.
The question of birth defects is a tough one. So far, all the moms who have successfully gone through the process have delivered healthy children. In the meantime, they expect Planned Parenthood and other abortion supporters to push back against the life-saving technique.
They have a very powerful machine out there that will make fun of this, that will attack it, say that it's junk science, say that it's junk medicine, say that it's not FDA approved. They'll do whatever they can to try to combat it.
Father Frank Pavone, the National Director of Priests for Life, is working with Dr. Harrison to raise awareness by distributing reversal kits to healthcare workers and pro-life advocates.
The technique gives us hope. The reversal technique gives us hope that, first of all, we can say to her, it's not too late. We can save your baby.
To help them to turn the ship around and to love them, regardless of what they did yesterday, and really to help them to learn to love their baby is very exciting.
Today, little Gabriel and his mom are thriving thanks to family support and a life-saving procedure that could potentially help millions of other women reverse a life-altering decision. Heather Sells, CBN News.
America's Air Force Academy has ruled cadets may continue their informal tradition of praying before kickoff. The ruling is in response to a complaint by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. The organization filed a complaint describing the players' act of prayer as, quote, wholly illicit, illegal, and unconstitutional. The Academy released a statement to the Washington Times saying it will continue to reaffirm that all airmen are free to practice the religion of their choice or subscribe to not subscribe to religious beliefs at all. Up next, the Islamic State's plan to take the West. Find out why ISIS is determined to conquer Rome and how they plan to do it. You probably won't hear it from mainstream media, but one of the major goals of ISIS is to usher in the end of the world and the return of the Muslim Messiah, the Mahdi. A key part of their savage plan is conquering the city of Rome, and believe it or not, ISIS has a strategy to do it. Dale Hurd brings us this astonishing report from Rome.
The Islamic State has a plan to conquer Rome. Yes, it sounds crazy, but ISIS believes the conquest of Rome is central to its mission and necessary to fulfill what Islam teaches was the prophecy of Muhammad and to prepare the return of the Muslim Messiah, the Mahdi. Robert Spencer is the author of The Complete Infidel's Guide to ISIS.
ISIS thinks that Rome is one of its primary goals and that it is in its timetable. It has a timetable wherein in the next 10 years, by the year 2025, it hopes to bring about Armageddon, the final struggle between good and evil, or between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. And that one of the chief stepping stones to that Armageddon battle is the conquest of Rome, which they think they're going to be able to do within the next 5 years, that is by 2020.
Muslim scholars say Muhammad prophesied that the two great Roman cities would be conquered, Constantinople and Rome. Constantinople today is Istanbul, a Muslim city. Rome remains to be conquered.
Once Rome is conquered, in this view, within the next 5 years, and then Israel will follow shortly after. They also believe that during this time period, they're going to conquer Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Now, before you laugh, consider that phase 1 of the Islamic State's plan to take Rome may already be underway, flooding Europe with ISIS fighters under the cover of the refugee crisis.
They're not talking about doing it by conventional armies. They're talking about doing it by overwhelming these lands with sympathizers from within and an influx of other people from outside.
The Islamic State reveals part of its plan in its publication Black Flags from Rome. It will use sleeper cells and expects to get help from Muslims serving in European armies and from non-Muslim sympathizers. It also wants to fire missiles into Italy that it has captured on the battlefield. This is a threat that is hard to be concerned about for Italian and foreign policy expert Emanuele Ottolenghi.
The concern should be commensurate to the reality of the threat. The Islamic State does not pose that kind of a threat today.
He says Europe faces more pressing problems because of ISIS.
I think that the much larger threat that we are concerned with in Europe is with the lone wolf terrorist who plots a terror outrage against a school, against a supermarket, against a shopping mall, against an airport.
And it is hard to see how ISIS could conquer a city of 3 million people in a nation of 60 million people. But it is not hard to see ISIS attempting it. The conquest of Rome has been a primary goal since the beginning of the Islamic State.
They think that the conquest of Rome will be the complete sign of Islam's superiority over Christianity and defeat of Christianity.
They also see the fall of Rome on an eschatological timeline that will culminate in a battle near Dabiq, Syria, their version of Armageddon.
And they think that once this battle takes place at Dabiq, this final battle, which they see coming in by 10 years from now, in 2025, that the Muslims will battle the non-Muslims in this town in northern Syria, and then Jesus, the Muslim prophet, and the Mahdi will return to the earth, and they will together conquer and Islamize the world.
If their plan for Rome succeeds, ISIS says it will throw homosexuals from the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. But the chief target is Vatican City in Rome. And the main event, as they see it, will be the beheading of the Pope in St. Peter's Square, broadcast and live streamed to an international audience.
There was a Polish convert to Islam recently who has joined the Islamic State, and he said, once we take Rome, we're going to carry out mass beheadings in St. Peter's Square. And so this is the plan, to convert St. Peter's Square into a huge site of executions of people considered to be the enemies of Allah, chief among them the Pope, in order to cow and frighten the rest of the world into submitting to their rule.
It's a plan that for now has little chance of success. But in his new book, The ISIS Apocalypse, Author and expert William McKent says ISIS has recently taken a longer-term view of the conquest of Rome and the return of the Mahdi, and is willing to wait in order to build up its forces. ISIS is already next door to Italy in North Africa. More importantly, Islamic State fighters are almost certainly already inside the country, some posing as refugees, going about their lives, waiting for the day when the battle for Rome begins. Dale Hurd, CBN News, Rome.
Up next, he is a two-time Academy Award nominee, and he's up for a Golden Globe for his latest role in the film Concussion. But Will Smith says it's time to answer a higher calling. We sit down with the actor for today's Studio 5. Actor Will Smith is up for a Golden Globe for his portrayal of a Nigerian-born doctor in a David and Goliath battle against the NFL in the film Concussion. This honor follows 2 Oscar nominations he received years ago for Ali and The Pursuit of Happiness. But despite the accolades, Smith says he knows there is an even greater calling on his life. He's sitting down with us in today's Studio 5. But first, let's take a look at his portrayal of Dr. Bennett Omalu.
What do they want?
The NFL wants you to say you made it all up.
I made it up.
They're accusing you of fraud.
If you retract, you'll be fine. This all goes away.
Why are they doing this?
They're terrified of you. Bennett Omalu is going to war with a corporation that has 20 million people on a weekly basis craving their product, the same way they crave food. The NFL owns a day of the week, the same day the church used to own. Now it's theirs. They're very big.
First question is, if you could briefly say, who is Dr. Omalu?
Oh, Dr. Omalu is a really interesting, paradoxical creature, you know. So he was born and raised in Nigeria and loved America when he grew up, and he has 8 degrees. So he's a man of science, firmly, but he is also one of the most spiritually and religiously based people I've ever met in my life. Everything in his life is about God, yet he's a scientist.
I know.
You know, and it was such a really, it was beautiful to spend time with him and watch how he blended those two concepts in his life.
Now, you were a football dad, if I remember. Your oldest son played football. And there's a line in the film that says the NFL owns the day of the week that the church used to own, right? So were there any reservations taken on the NFL?
Yeah, it was you know, it was less about taking on the NFL. I didn't see this film as taking on the NFL. I saw how someone could see it that way. But to me, it was much more about delivering the truth. It was much more about telling Dr. Omalu's story. When he told me his story and his love for America and American ideals, and how he was shocked and disillusioned by people not wanting to know. And he couldn't see how not knowing was better than knowing.
Absolutely.
And he was conflicted in that way, and I could relate to that. You know, being a huge football fan, I really wasn't excited to be the guy that brought this information, you know, cinematically at least, to the forefront.
Last question for you. What is next? I think I read you said that you look in the mirror, you don't see the reflection that your grandmother saw in terms of what you can contribute to the world. Many would be surprised. 2-time Academy Award nominee, now nominated for a Golden Globe, and you don't think you...
You know, after spending time with Dr. Omalu, and, you know, I spent time, again, with Chris Gardner for The Pursuit of Happiness, and Muhammad Ali and Nelson Mandela working on Ali. as an actor, I've been blessed to play characters who are deeply centered on service and contribution. And when I play characters like this, it feels good to wear that, right? It feels good to me when I wear the life of a person who's committed to others. So that good feeling is a signal to me that there's a deeper calling for me, and in the will blueprint that heaven created, I think that there's more than just being an actor. You know, I think there's a higher contribution that I can and I will make.
Nice. Politics?
Potentially. Whenever, you know, people keep talking crazy out there. It might have to be politics.
Will Smith for president. Thank you. And we'll keep watching for that blueprint. The film is in theaters right now. Stay with us. There's more to come right here. It is time now for your Thursday Thankful. And on this final day of the new year, make this your prayer. Lord, thank you for not holding a year of past mistakes against me. Now help me not hold my past against myself. With that, say amen and walk boldly into the year ahead. And when you fall, don't stay there. Get up and pray that prayer again, because every breath is a new opportunity to do better, be better, and bless the kingdom of God. Farewell to 2015. 2016 will be so much bigger and better. And that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that online. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you right back here tomorrow.